Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
Justice Serve TV is on the air. Michael Bryant here. Hello, Linda Kenney Baden.
Hi, I'm upstate, as you can see. I'm in
You're
my
in your,
regular
your
TV
throne,
studio.
your
I'm
pink
in my
furry throne.
well, everything is set up. It's really nice when it's the whole room, and it's, as you've seen it.
It is. It's a nice
so
room.
nice. It's nice to set up and sit down and just go, as opposed to like having to move the lights and having to do this and having to do that and all that stuff that I still do.
You got to get some people.
I got to get people.
I
got to get people.
We're continuing all things Adelson, of course, as now we know. Quick update on that. Not officially a rip and read. We do have a couple of those as well.
Right.
But they are well on their way to selecting from the whittled away bigger jury pool. 50 yesterday morning, 50 yesterday afternoon, 50 this morning, 50 this afternoon. Of that 200, the judge wanted to get to about 100 or 110 that had made it through that preliminary screening, and then the attorneys will chime in and they will have a panel. They've got that's going to happen by lunchtime tomorrow. That's the plan.
Unbelievably, how lightning speed. If this were in California, we'd still be picking a jury for the next month.
You know, but you've talked about this, and I think you're right. Make a note of that. I think Linda's right on this. That people want to be on this jury. It's one of those cases, right?
Yeah, I think now what's happening, and you and I talked a little bit about it when I was driving up this morning. I think it used to be that you looked for the stealth juror to see who was going to be the stealth juror in the group that you had. Now you have to assume everyone is a stealth juror. Everyone wants to serve on a high-profile case, and that's what's happening. The whole jury selection process, in my opinion, has changed. I can't wait to get one of our jury experts on here to talk about it.
Yes, and we're working on that. We're working on that. And this case, not only will I have a chance to look at them and give my impressions of them for what it's worth, but the court is not imposing any of those draconian measures where they're trying to protect everything from their gender to their age, which is ridiculous. So we'll have a lot more input on this panel, and I can't remember how many alts were they going to have. 3? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think it was 3.
I really can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was 3. It was more or less for other but I think we'll go and check that before tomorrow and make sure, because sometimes the judges change when they get close to having a panel. They change what they decide to do, and that's something that people should be aware of, not on the main panel, but on the alternate panel.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike Easter was on last night, and he was such a hit. I just want to post this up here. Julie would like to hear his take on the Delphi case.
Oh my gosh!
And I just point that out because Mike Easter is such a professional, as you know, and we had him on for the whole hour talking about the bump, or as he called, tickle in the wire, something I can't get over, tickle the wire. And I was fascinated by it because I don't think anyone's talked to him about the specifics of how it's done. He just assumed it's done. And it was fascinating. So, yeah, I'd like to hear his take on a lot of things. But I have to tell you, he's very picky and choosy about what he discusses.
That's right. If he is not comfortable with the case and the specific subject, he'll pass. So we always try and find something that he feels very comfortable and his expertise most applies to. So I liked hearing about, the audition process or the picking of the, what do they call it? The undercover person.
The undercover person.
The undercover person. Because, they need to fit a certain type and style, and depending on what role they're playing, it's fascinating. And they really kind of, they have certain people they know and think this guy will work better for this. Well, how about this woman? Very interesting.
No, it was fascinating. We had some, because I asked him, does gender take a place in this? He says sometimes they'll feel that there is some suspect that will be more, the woman will be less threatening or whatever.
And maybe get more info out of the person. Yeah.
And there was a female private investigator on last night who said the same thing with regard to some people that she tries to get information from as a private investigator. But it just, I thought the whole process was fascinating, how they pick them and what they give and how they have to be careful not to get close to doing a crime themselves when they do the tickle the wire. Tickling the wire. I want to
And-
name. Oh, I want to name something. Tickle the wire.
And
I
it's
don't know.
dangerous. It's not like this is just make believe and the Sunday social. This is depending on the level. I don't know that they were concerned about Donna Adelson doing anything, but it's not out of the question if she's suspected of arranging the murder of Dan Markel. Why not have somebody protecting her from big guys who approach her on the street, which is what happened.
Right. And he was a big guy that approached her on the street.
Was a
Hi,
big guy.
Joey Kane. Hello, everyone. By the way,
Joey Kane.
5 Justice Serve TV memberships. Michael will be in touch with you soon. He's going to finish that up tonight. And
I really am.
Those
Hi, tickets are on the way.
I see everyone coming in here. We see you. Don't worry, we see you. Can't say hello to every single one of you. We could, but that'd be the whole show. Maybe one day. But hello, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Okay, just for a moment here, let's go into the Justice Serve TV book club. Is this lovely book that I have here? I'll just read an excerpt
This
for those who can't.
is our story.
By
Wendi Adelson. You actually bought it?
Book, of course.
You bought it.
Here's what I think. Yeah, look at it's recycled. It's recycled.
We need to just get a screen. Hold that up. I want to get a screenshot.
Screenshot.
Yeah.
And I think this is her on the cover. When I'm chatting with her down in Tallahassee, I'm going to ask her.
Could you hold the book like stationary?
Okay,
yeah. Okay. All right, I got them.
You got it?
All right, yeah.
So here's what's interesting. First of all, let me read a quick passage. She is arguably Lily in this book, but she's really not, she says. So just a quick hit here. My first few days in Hiawassee, which doesn't sound at all like Tallahassee, I kept getting lost, which is surprising since it's pretty much a one traffic light kind of town. The sad truth is that my sense of direction is just that bad. Josh, her husband in the book, offered to buy me a GPS. He's a teacher at the local school.
Wow,
offered to buy me a GPS device in the Panhandle for my birthday so he could track me down and give me directions if needed, but I politely declined, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This, my friends, as she gets into how quiet and lazy this town is, this is Hiawassee Springs. So that's the mythical town that is the setting for this book, our story. This is our story. Here's what I found interesting. See this little logo on the front? That is, right? Florida State University. Okay, it's Florida State University logo. So I'm going, well, that's interesting. If you open up to the first page, it's a welcome from the Vice President for Student Affairs. Her name is Mary Colburn. There'll be a test later on that. On behalf of the faculty, staff, alumni, this is in the front of her book. Current students, welcome to Florida State University. You've chosen a remarkable institution, blah, blah, blah. You will have many choices to make during your time at FSU, blah, blah, blah. This book is basically mandatory reading at the time it came out for new students. So how is that?
Wait.
What a great marketing deal that is.
How did that happen? How did that? So
there's some affiliation.
In the chat know anything? Should we call and get who's the woman that you just said is on that book? Let's call
That's Mary
her.
Colburn, Vice President for Student Affairs. Of course, this was back in.
I know, but we can still Google her. Let me see if I take my
Google away.
What's it, Mary? And how do you spell
Colburn?
her name?
Coburn. Colburn. Mary B. Colburn. VP of Student Affairs.
Of Student Affairs. I wonder how she feels about this now. I wonder how they feel about this. Mary Colburn served as the Vice President of Student Affairs for 15 years. Her dedication to the spirit, contributed all facets. In honor of her continued service to Florida State, this award recognizes an outstanding member of the faculty staff. This year we honored Brad Brock. So I can't tell whether she's still there. It's a retirement tribute. So it looks like she retired in 2017. Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, it might have been a lot of heat.
But I think we should still call her. I mean, I'd love to get her view on this. Right. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the link in here. This is just an article. You all who are watching this can do a lot more Google research than I can right now. But here's an article. I'm sure we can find her.
And this book, just to give a little context, is about human trafficking, because she was involved, Wendi Adelson was involved as counsel for an organization that studied it, and also immigrants as well. So the human trafficking element is kind of a subset of her broader experience as an attorney with the school dealing with immigrants coming to the country and coming to the school. So anyway, I'll be reading selections from this over the next few weeks as seems appropriate, just to give you a sense of how closely tied the author seems to be to the subject and to the character Lily. Although on the stand she said, no, this is an amalgam of other folks. That just seems like Josh, her husband in the book, has some striking resemblance to Dan Markel, her husband, until he was murdered in real life.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, thank you very World is on Fire. Great suggestions. Although I think we have to wait till the trial ends. You're absolutely right, to try to see, and then the question is going to become whether or not there's going to be another trial. I know,
and we don't know.
That's a great suggestion.
I don't expect, if there is, I don't expect somebody taking Wendi Adelson into custody as she leaves the stand. I think there will be some delay. Right? If it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. Not immediately anyway. And we've got some, I will tell folks right now, as we say, the trial, it's a living, breathing thing. We thought, maybe we'll have openings Friday. So we're going to build up to that with all. So now that's been blown up, because now the trial is more likely to start officially tomorrow. We know the jury selection is the official start, but opening statements tomorrow. So we've got a kind of a hodgepodge of things tonight, from not just Jane, who is the friend of Wendi, who showed up hours after Dan Markel's shooting. He was still technically alive at the time, and she was just mishelpful, just so strangely helpful. So we are going to get into that, but we did start her interview, for everyone that remembers, the other day. And it was intriguing.
It was so intriguing that we wanted to continue it, because we knew we had Mike Easter on in between, because we are Adelson all the time, except for these little inserts we're doing, bringing you up to date with other things. Thank you very much. Hope 8 Fear. Yes, Hope 8 Fear for the Justice Serve TV membership. I appreciate it. So we initially were going to do this, then we were going to do the show tomorrow. We had all this planned leading up. Luckily, we had played Wendi 1 and Wendi 2. We'd already played all the backstory on this. So we are going to be actually on the air streaming the opening statements, just so you all know. But we don't know when exactly they are.
We'll just be fluid, and I'm, just wild guess. They're going to seat the jury in the morning, and then they're going to roll into these openings in the afternoon, and that would be it. Maybe there'll be a little bit of slop over early afternoon. They have to finish seating a couple people. I don't know. Not the best way to do it, in my opinion, except for speed, but it's better to have a little breathing room between the seating of the jury and, okay, ladies and gentlemen, glad to see you, because we just picked you, just put you in the chair. Now we're going to do an opening statement. Okay, so anyway... Okay, before we get to all of that, just a couple of things. The New York District Court in the Epstein case has denied the request to unseal some of the grand jury transcript.
We told you.
Judge made this show of, I want this from the proponent, I want this from the opposition, I want a letter from Ghislaine Maxwell, her position on it, and she provided one. She did. All show, in my opinion, because there was never a chance they were going to release this stuff.
Because grand jury transcripts don't get released.
No,
and here's the problem. People wanted to release some grand jury transcripts, right, to protect the innocent, or as we hear in some shows, right? But the problem is, unless you release everything, you don't have a context for some things.
Yep.
But
no, it ain't going. And don't forget that Friday is the congressional deadline to release Epstein materials. So that's maybe that's going to happen. Maybe it is not. Let's see. I had one more thing to share. Where did I put it in my notes here?
Oh, we know what this is about. Don't call me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Never Dever.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
What did we say? What we heard yesterday?
Yesterday we heard that Dr. Turtleboy, Aiden Carney, reported that she had given up, turned in her gun or badge at 1 o'clock at Jamaica Plains Station or something in Massachusetts. Today, the Boston State Police have denied that. Not the Boston State Police, the Boston Police Department have denied that. They said that's not true. She's still on leave. So
she's on medical leave.
Yeah, she's on medical leave. So maybe she did turn in her gun and badge on medical leave. I don't know.
I hope she turned it in when she got off the stand.
Yeah,
I don't want her with a gun. I'm sorry.
She shouldn't have a gun. She can't be trusted. She could never testify again. I mean, quite frankly, she's going to apply for disability medical leave, and she's going to get it because she's unable to testify. And that's the sad part about this. If you, in my opinion, act like that way on the stand, some would say lie on the stand, right, as she did. That's a matter of opinion from everybody. You know what mine is. I know probably what most of yours is. There should be repercussions, and the repercussions shouldn't be that you get a full pension from the police department that you really just started working for 2 years ago because you did so bad and so on the stand
right.
that you can't testify anymore, and
Let's
that's why you
reward
have
you for that.
medical leave, right?
And this
Yeah, let's
doesn't
just
clear up
reward
all
you,
the
right.
Brady violations or Brady list issues from past cases. As I said from the beginning, there ain't going to be any future cases
Right.
that are affected.
Yeah,
There still could be some cases from the past. Okay, so that's it for our ripping and reading. I have a gripe now. New segment I call the gripe. I've been
the
watching.
gripe. Wait. We
The
have
gripe.
a new segment called the gripe.
I just
Did
made
I
that up.
just learn about this
Yeah.
new segment? This is
I
your streaming.
I just
partner.
learned about
Hello,
it.
remember me?
Yeah.
It's Justice Serve TV, Bryant and Baden Media
I just learned
Company.
about it myself because it just came out of my mouth. That I've been watching the case unfold and all the, everything from the reading of the criminal complaint to some of the testimony. And I do want to watch tomorrow the testimony from the neighbor. Very short and tight, but this is the guy who heard the shot, went over to the house, discovered Dan Markel, who at the time was like moving his head just very slowly, but not responsive. Anyway, what I continue to hear is that he was shot in his driveway, in his car, in his driveway, in his car, in his. That is not. It's not even disputed because he was in the garage. This is a horrible picture. It's the first one I could find, though. This is the car, totally in the garage. I don't understand why even the pleadings, even the criminal complaint says on the driveway or in the driveway. I don't understand that.
I think because the shooters were in the driveway, right?
Well, they were parked behind, but the shooting was in the garage.
In the garage,
and to me, this is maybe it's a distinction without a difference, but to me, in the garage is a much more intimate crime.
Oh yeah.
Don't, like if you're at the curb, that's one thing. If you're on the driveway, okay. In the garage, that's his personal space. And so I just want to clear that up. It was in the garage. I don't care what you may hear from witnesses or even the pleadings.
Terribly personal. It's an assassination no matter what, because we have in New York City here, I've heard all the mafia shootings. Sparks Steakhouse is the famous one, on the curb as you come out and having that great steak, steak dinner and all. And they were much more prevalent years ago when the mob was shooting everybody up. But now, here we have allegedly the Latin Kings hired by the Adelson family, who's already been convicted, Charlie, we know, right, to hire somebody to shoot up. And I think inside your garage, because that's where you normally feel safe, right? You pull into garage.
Of course. I mean, and maybe as a guy who spends a lot of time in the garage, that's part of you. That's your space. That's, that is not, you don't come in my garage. So I think it is.
In your garage because you killed me. I mean, you'd be shooting back. Michael's one of those people who truly believes in the Second Amendment.
That is true.
He applies at his garage.
I would not go in my garage unless you come strapped.
A garage. A garage.
A garage.
My English friends say garage.
Hey, speaking of that, and we were talking about Dever. Did you hear that she pronounced that word so weirdly? It was like garage or something very bizarre.
Right. Yeah.
To circle back to Kelly Dever.
Yeah, Aiden's again apparently reporting, according to our chat, that she did resign, but all I can tell you is BP, Boston Police Department, BPD.
Yeah. We're just reporting what we've heard. We have no independent knowledge. She didn't call me up. She didn't say, "Hey, Justice Serve TV.
Friend. Yeah.
Here's what's happened to my wrecked life." No, she did not.
Yeah.
So
we know, and when we have those reports, we tell you. All right. And we haven't forgotten about the fact that we informed you on ASAP Rocky of two reports that absolutely were true, but we're just waiting for those sidebar one transcript to be released to support us. So I can go after the two report, I call them loosely reporters who suggested we were making it up, and I will, because you all know me.
Yes, you will. What a weird thing to make up anyway. So dumb. Anyway, that had to do with sidebar conversation that we hope will be released, and it related to, let's just say, attorneys talking out of school in a way that affected the underlying case, and I can't get much more specific than that. We will when we get the goods, though, because we knew it happened. We reported it. Okay, so let's go back. What I want to do is let's see some more of Jane, because she gets even more. Everybody has a friend like Jane, I think. She takes control. She is super helpful, annoyingly so. And in this weird scenario, I got the impression it could be any other type of emergency. Like, hey, we got a plumbing leak. She'd be there. She'd have wrenches and 4 phone numbers for plumbers.
And before you do that, getting off Deborah, because our chat still was a little bit behind our discussion. Touche. Doesn't AJ's Brady list letter to the commissioner demand a response? Well, I'm sure he thinks so. I think so. Whether they get one or not, he doesn't really care. I don't believe at this point, because my opinion is they're preparing a civil suit. That would be my opinion, right? And that everything that doesn't get responded to, you put in that civil suit, because it shows a pattern of practice. It shows you have you have these different claims that you can have, and depending on who you can sue and whether or not they endorse or allow by their pattern and practice certain bad things to happen, shall we say, to go on. And so I don't think he cares whether he gets one or not.
Yeah. Oh, and because my mind is like a steel sieve. You reminded me of another rip and read that's kind of on a more personal pleading level. The case that I have brought along with Tom DeRozier against Noble.
Yes, what's happened to your case? You accepted the fact that you were successful.
There's a status coming up. We have not agreed to trial by magistrate. That's one thing. That's one thing they try and cram you into, especially as you know in the federal system.
Right.
So we're going to have a status coming up in the next week or so to determine how to deal with what remains of the case. We're very proud that all that crowd that we saw outside the Karen Reed verdict that day was because of this lawsuit and one like it. So we're happy with all of that, but it ain't over. So we were our rights were infringed by.
No, as a matter of fact, we should go back one day and we should play when you were when I was on the air and the encounter was happening. We were so it was the first day. I mean,
April Fool's Day, by the way.
Yeah, April Fool's Day. It was the very first day we were. The trial was happening. We should go back and play it, especially if you get a result from it, because I think that was such an amazing thing that you decided to do, Michael Bryant, on behalf of yourself at Justice Serve TV and everybody else who is
Mark Randazza, amazing.
Mark Randazza, attorney, and right, came in and helped and all. But it took a lot of gumption to do that. I mean, and then after that, quite frankly, they kind of backed down with you a bit.
No doubt about it. The one time that Hardman dragged me across the street, not physically, but I had my press things on, right? Not from them, but from everywhere else, Manhattan, LA, whatever. And he's taking me across the street to see Chief Rose. And he's questioning my credentials. I said, you think I printed these at home on my printer, just strapped them on? So that was as confrontational as it got after the lawsuit. So,
and once Chief Rose talked with you too, I think that
and he was great.
Is great, right? Even though he couldn't help you get a media pass. But
Jennifer, don't get me started on Jennifer again.
Okay.
We'll be here. We're already off the track.
All right, so we're off the track. Yeah, let's go back on track.
For those who may not have seen some of this on Monday, this is the 4+ hour long interview, just part of it, that Wendi Adelson did with the cops. To the left of the screen, that's the victim advocate. Mm-hmm. And then the little blonde person you see on the right that's kind of hugging the lower part of the, like a kindergarten teacher would, down with the kids at the little table so they can be really close with them. That's friend Jane.
Right. And when you're listening to friend Jane, what I also want you to listen to is Wendi Adelson's interaction with the victim's right advocate, because she, in my opinion, is trying to get information as to what they know. Really listen to this tightly when you're also listening to Jane.
Yeah, sometimes those are, they work in the system, victim right advocates, so they're not exactly a neutral third party. But, okay, here we go.
I'll tell them this, right? Like, can you tell them?
And when investigator Isom comes back, you guys can just, say, and he'll ask all the questions that investigators ask that I don't think of very often because I'm a victim advocate and I don't think of things.
I think you do have to tell about him.
Yeah, I wasn't.
You weren't
not telling on purpose.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I wasn't thinking of it. I just kept thinking, like, who in the world
is he someone that has?
Okay, let me bring folks up to speed who missed this. What they're talking about now is, and what Jane is urging her to tell the cops, is how that mean Jeff, that ex-boyfriend, is a likely suspect. And so they're talking. They
were trying to pin it on Jeff.
Yeah, and it's like Jane is so helpful. She's saying that's the guy. Tell him.
Access to.
He's a professor of social work.
Okay.
He's a former military.
Yeah.
But
But he's
You
not.
you don't think about this guy as like, oh, there's the kind of guy.
Right.
I mean, I would more just as like say that maybe you did this.
Right.
It's just relationally, he's jealous.
Right.
Something is bad. This and that. I'm
Something
just,
is bad.
I'm
Yeah.
just assuming that this isn't true for the moment, but I guess that's not so.
And you have to look at it this way, telling them this, if anything, will help them disqualify Jane.
Right. That's
Yeah.
important to do.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to give them his number?
I don't, I mean,
So we can-
I can give them.
They have
I
my
give them-
phone, so-
They certainly have a ton of stuff from him. So I Googled, Trescott shooting.
Thank you for being here. So you Googled Trescott shooting, and what do you see?
Just that, police investigate shooting on Trescott Drive.
And it's on
Jane
the
has
news.
the update.
And unfortunately, the media here tends to get places and they can't really stop them from being
Oh,
outside.
how often is there a shooting in like northeast Tallahassee, right?
On Trescott Drive,
On
not so
Trescott?
often.
This is what I can't figure out. How did he get to the hospital? Like, did he call 911?
A neighbor, according to WCTV, here.
And this should be said, the police department won't release his name until they notify
The family.
family. And them being in Canada puts a little bit more of a wrench into our notification because it's a little bit more difficult to do internationally, but
God.
we're in the process.
And there's really, his injuries are really terrible.
The police got notified because a neighbor. Is it a picture of the house? Oh my
Yeah.
God! You can see the car. You can't
Right.
tell it's our house.
Well, yeah, right.
You
You can't tell it's not your house. It certainly appears to
Could
be
be
a
a
house
house.
like your house. It,
And they say the 2100 block of Trescott Drive. It must be still blocked off. I bet it's going to be blocked
Who
off for a
knows?
while.
it's certainly a crime scene, obviously a crime scene.
But it's like a thorough. I mean, a lot of
I
people
know,
use
I
that
know.
as like a drive-through.
Now, this other people obviously know about this. Danny did show up places today.
I don't know that he had anywhere to show up today. Did he?
Yeah.
Like, did you know? Because like it's summertime, he works from home, right?
Right, but there are people, but imagine if any of us fall off the grid from 11 o'clock this morning, any colleagues,
That had a meeting or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
all of the stuff he does over phone.
Right. Well, he and I were supposed to talk about where Ben was going to school, and it was very unlike him that I was the one who had to call him. So like he called early this morning. I had a repair guy at the house, and he called early this morning, and I left a message, and then I called him back. I have the phone record. He called at like 9, and he told me he went to Premiere. So he says, I don't know, like I think he went straight from dropping off the boys to go to Premiere, and then he said, I'm going to do an exercise class that gets out at 10:15 or 10:30, and then we can talk after that. You remember how I had a voice thing? Like I hadn't talked to him. He was like, I know your voice is bad. Like, does today work? And he said we could go for a walk at the law school, or we could talk. And I have this message on my phone from him, which is why I said to the officer, there's no way he did this to himself. Like 0 chance that he shot himself. Danny.
By the way,
Zero
I'll just stop it
chance.
for a second, Michael. Here she wants to know how, she's talking, but really she wants to get the answers. How did he get to the hospital? Did he get shot today, right? We can talk after that. I told the officers there was 0 chance he shot himself. I mean, she's trying to find out what they know by putting this out there because the victim witness advocate's sitting right there.
And and taking mental notes if nothing else.
Right.
Important to note the reference she made to getting the TV repaired. There was a repairman here. That's the whole Geek Squad thing,
That's
which
right.
we will learn through trial testimony that Donna Adelson arranged 1 week before the appointment, which just happened to be at or about the time that Dan Markel was being assassinated.
Right.
Himself.
Yes, 0 chance. Someone did this to him. So he had plans that we would he said this at 9, we'll take a walk, we'll figure this out, we'll talk about school. And then I called him at 11:45 or so and left a message. And that was, I thought weird, but I thought whatever,
And
he's in a
you
meeting.
probably thought, oh, good, I don't have to talk to him.
I was really anxious
Oh
about
my
speaking
God.
with him and having this be a contentious issue about where
Which
is
of
our
course
kid
it
going to go to
is.
school.
Oh my God.
And I didn't hear from him, and I didn't think too much of it. I just thought well, they'll just call me later. And then at around noon, I had lunch plans at 1, and I was supposed to go to a friend's engagement party tonight, and it's called a Stack the Bar engagement. So I went to go find bourbon. So I went to drive to ABC Liquors, and I went to go through Trescott, and it was blocked off. So I went around, and then I looked for bourbon, and then I got gas.
She's got
That's why I was
her
trying to show the
whole
officer, like, I have
story
receipts.
down.
Yeah, it's all very pat.
She's got a whole Pat story down. This is what's
one of the
happened. He called me. I called him. I just didn't think anything. I'm going to go buy bourbon. The whole story is coming out now.
And one of the things that she references is she went right from the liquor store to this lunch she had at Mosaic, and that's where the cops found her. And she's been flummoxed as to how they found
It's
her.
from all these things, but
After she went to buy bullet bourbon.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, like, I would be one of the people that they would think did it.
Well, you have certainly the most contentious relationship with Danny that anyone has.
Yeah.
You know, but
They swabbed my hands.
well, fair enough.
Gunpowder.
They should. I mean,
They asked
they
me if I
should.
washed my hands since noon, and I was embarrassed to say I hadn't. I don't remember when I last washed my hands.
Oy.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I think Jeff is somebody that they should talk
Okay.
to. And I don't know of anyone else.
They were asking, like, does he have gambling debt? Does he have, and I'm like, the only person he owes money to is me. Like, there's no one. He's like, he's a straight shooter, right? Like, he's not an alcoholic. He's not a gambler. He doesn't have a sex addiction. He doesn't, like, he doesn't have any, like, weird stuff going on in his life.
No, he's a difficult guy, but he's not a.
That's what he was saying. He's like, is
Thanks,
there anyone that
Jane.
hates him? And I'm like, he's difficult, but he's difficult
not
in like an
liked.
ivory tower kind of way.
He's not liked, but he is
He's
not.
not liked, but he's not hated.
Certainly not, and he has people who love him.
How do the students feel? Like, is he, like, are law students receptive to him? Like, oh, this is a great.
I think there's some that really like his method, and there are a lot who don't like him at all.
So you say he's more disliked?
He's a very
feared.
abrasive guy.
Does he challenge you, kind of? Would that be a good?
He's challenging. He loves to argue, so he's fairly elitist. So like the
He's
students,
very elitist. Oh my
students
goodness.
felt
By the way,
like
just stop it for a second. People are, there's one person saying, I know, says that she bought rye, not bourbon, but she went to buy bullet bourbon. Her whole story to the cop was she had to go to this particular liquor store because there was the party had sent out bringing the certain liquors. They wanted certain liquors. And so she was going to this liquor store because they're the ones who had the bullet bourbon. Whether or not she bought it or not, it's a different story, but that's what she was going. And I just find it ironic that I'm sure they had more than just one listing of drink or on the item. It's just, this is what you're going to bring.
That one.
And that one, right.
And I've said before, I think that idea is a great idea. I obviously didn't live in South Florida where I hear it's common, or North Florida, that they do it all the time. And you don't want wine, you don't want wine. This is stock the bar. That's the hard stuff.
Yeah, stock the bar party, right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll have to follow up on whether it was actually wine she took or not, but that makes no sense.
I know when you're down there, you're going to go to the liquor store. You're going to see whether or not, if they remember 11 years ago, they had bullet bourbon. I'm sure they've been asked by more than one people.
Bullet bourbon was not much of a thing even 5 years ago. So, ahead of the curve, or maybe they originated there and that's why it was more prevalent. I can't even remember any bullet bourbon advertising 2-3 years ago.
Right.
So, and they spell it weird, as you know. It's not spelled like bullet.
And so they feel like insecure. But again, we're not talking about like hateful and awful. We're talking about like difficult.
Right.
Right. And he has colleagues who really don't like him.
But not enough to,
But this is a different, right, it's a
Like,
different, right.
they don't like him. They don't want to go to lunch with him. Right.
Yeah, no,
He doesn't
This
make
is-
friends easily, but it's not like he makes a ton of
and he has he has very close connections at the temple.
That's what I said. I
I mean,
said
he
he's
has-
got Jewish community and like
he's important in the Jewish community, and he's loved, and he's
And there
serious
are two
academic.
Jewish temples in Tallahassee, or just
it's
one?
kind of complicated. There's
There's
Temple
three,
Israel,
please.
which is the Reform synagogue. There's Shomer Torah, which is the conservative one that he belonged to.
Okay.
And then there's Chabad, which is sort of like, it's not really clear. It's kind of like a proselytizing thing. And And he would donate money there and bring the kids to events there and spend time there. So he was sort of affiliated with two of them and bring the kids to stuff at Temple Israel
too. I mean, he's very, very connected across the Jewish community.
Yeah, he's very
Because
involved.
he's also very, like, he had a major Jewish education, so he's extremely knowledgeable about Judaism, and he cares deeply about how people interpret scripture and law and rule and practice, and he's involved in all those sort of debates at the community level. And he's very, it would be hard to overestimate how involved he has been in the Jewish community. He has a lot of connections.
And it was kind of one of the reasons why we got divorced is I'm Reform, I'm kind of culturally Jewish. Like we just had really different religious
I know some folks they're Jewish just for the food. Otherwise, not all that Jewish. You see, Jane is like petting her.
Right.
She's
I've noticed
like
that.
just petting her. Just let go, Jane, please.
Yeah. Oh, you're so. And she's saying all these nice things about her ex-husband, who she's been in horrible litigation with, calling his names, wanting to dress the kids in Hitler uniforms. Okay,
yes, and turn them into the Christianity faith just for spite, right? But Jane knows that there are a lot of faculty members that just do not like him. They just don't like him. Yeah, so they certainly should be on her suspect list, but far below where Jeff is.
in the middle of a fucking nightmare.
Oh, here we go. Oh.
Thank God for Jane.
I didn't want you to be married to him, but this was not the method.
Well, that's what I said to the officer. I was like, we had a rough time, but
This has been a terrible
he's
time.
the father of my children.
Right.
And things were entering a new phase where he has this girlfriend and he's out of town a lot, and that was nice.
The laughing gets me. He has his girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, I get, there's some nervous
right.
element to it, but still, she reminds me of somebody that just kind of revels in being involved. This is not her life,
right?
But she is, she wants to be a big player in this tragedy that really, why she was called? Because Lynn, her better friend, went to go get the boys from school because they had at 5 o'clock, they had to pick up the boys. This was 5:31. So by default, Jane becomes the friend to come to the cop house. So.
Right. Instead of, hey, I'd be like screaming and crazy if this were me. I'd say, look, I'm not being charged with anything. I want to go get my kids. I want to get my kids. I don't care. I want to get my kids. Right.
I need to see them now.
Right. I have to know they're okay. I mean, somebody did this to my husband. I don't know what's going on. Kay Schmidt, thank you very much for the memberships while we're talking away. But that would be mine. And even though I know that they have this arranged and the police had it arranged and all that kind of stuff, I would say, screw you. Unless you're arresting me for something, I'm going to go get my children.
Yeah. They need me right now. And she let Lynn, who she's much closer with, the kids know Lynn, so I get it. Okay, that makes some sense. It's almost like Wendi Adelson believes, and she said, I know I'm a suspect. I know that makes perfect sense. There's some sort of feeling that I'm going to go above and beyond to be the non-suspect, cooperative former wife. Otherwise, I think she would just bolt. Say, I got to get the kids. We can do this some other time, right? I mean, literally, Dan Markel's not even cold yet. I mean, he's still, brain dead, but being kept alive. So Lynn goes and gets the kids. They're 3.5 and 5 at this time, by the way, the little boys. So there's a whole discussion about car seats, and she's, Wendy's upset because there are Cheerios in, who doesn't have Cheerios if they've had kids in the last 30 years? And so I thought, she said, I was going to make an appointment to clean the car, but you can't clean the damn Cheerios yourself. You have to have the car cleaned. Enough already. Okay, a little more of this.
There's just, given his personality and everything, there's no way that he did this.
No, he didn't.
He had plans to be out of town. He was leaving on Saturday.
And he was delighted with Amy. He's been delighted with this.
Yeah.
And delighted with the boys, and delighted with.
No, he didn't do this. So somebody did.
He was angry and upset about the divorce. Really, really angry at Wendi. Really, really angry. But really pleased with how things were going to go
It's
forward.
been 2 years and things for him were a lot better.
Do you mind if I get Investigator Isom to kind of tell him about Jeff?
I think you should do
Okay,
that.
let me go grab him, okay?
I can't believe you brought your own drink here.
Well, I wasn't sure how long I would be here. I was thirsty. I had just arrived home to pour, say, a glass of wine when they called and said, "Don't you want to go to the police department?" I said, "Jane, no, not really.
You believe me that I didn't do this, right?
I assume you didn't do this. You know,
I wish I had I was home working on a paper that's due.
well, you know, you've that, you know, you'll
I
have,
sent it in, like I sent edits to
you'll
someone.
have,
and
you'll have.
I
there's
hope they have the time log.
Of course they will. Of course they will.
She's on the floor. She's sitting on the floor.
Whispering.
Maybe she had some of that wine before she left the house.
I mean, all of that is evident. You know, you will, you know, you don't.
I understand why they think it would be me,
Of
but
course it would be you. But it's not you. I mean, I would.
Of course it would be you.
Now, again, just going by, you know, likely. I agree with
this
you.
can't be an accident.
He didn't do this. Jeff, I mean,
I hope to God he did.
I don't, Jeff didn't do it, but I mean, I don't think Danny
Jane,
did
somebody shot Danny.
Why are they whispering?
to death. Holy shit.
He's.
They know they're
I
being
didn't even know that he
recorded.
was still living. Sarah told me that, and then I started freaking out. And was like, I want to get the boys over there. Like, is he scary looking? Because I want, like, if he's not gonna make it, but he's okay, or he's not. Like, I wanted the boys to be able to be
Isn't
with
there,
him.
shouldn't somebody be with him?
I know that's what I said. I was like, he's there. He's full on. Like,
Here's something I think is interesting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stopped the video. You know, even if she was involved, right? I think the reality is she never really embraced it. If you hear that your ex-husband has been shot in the head, and now you want your little kids to have a last moment with dad, I mean, what is not computing there? You think they just put a couple of Band-Aids on and it'll be great to see dad? I mean, she's just so disconnected from reality, and that whether she had anything to do with it or not, it's just so surreal.
I was like, is he with?
Shouldn't
Right,
somebody?
and just so you
Yes.
know, while the victim witness advocate goes out to get her some water, something to drink, that she's probably also speaking to the cops. I mean, because they've been watching this. Is there something else they're looking at this? But I love the whispering when they know they can be heard and they want to be heard. I love the little performance whispering here.
Yes,
You know?
I don't think it was Jeff, but you
But
know,
he's so jealous.
Yes. Should I go? Someone needs to go
I
there.
know. I mean,
He's by himself.
I mean, really, he's by himself?
I don't think they haven't called the family yet. They haven't called his parents. They were like, what are his parents' names? They're
I
asking
think,
me.
how about the rabbi?
Oh, that's a really good idea.
How about the rabbi?
Can you ask them?
Yeah, we'll do that right now.
So there's no rabbi at Shomri, but Rabbi Schnoyer Oyerman, that's really his name. He, him or Jack Romberg.
They need to go.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yes, especially if he's not gonna make it, so that they
He needs to
can.
be blessed.
if
My
they can-
God, it's a blessing.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for being here. I was sitting in this room by myself, losing my mind. I was at lunch with Janine and Ritu. I don't know if you know them, friends of mine, and these officers walk in, and I just I ate a lunch. Like, I had a whole delicious lunch, and they're like, are you Wendi? We need to speak with you. And I was like, oh my God, are the boys okay? Like, and they were like, the boys are fine. And then I thought, oh my God, like,
What's
what's
not
going
fine?
like, who's finding me here? And they wouldn't tell me. And so he said, I need you to get in the car. And so he drove me, and I started I just was like, what's going on? And they're like, your husband. And I said, ex-husband. And they're like, ex-husband? So they didn't have the, like,
Yeah, well, I mean, how do they? They're just starting this.
so they thought we were still married. And so I was telling him everything, and then I was thinking, oh my God, now they probably think I'm a
You-
suspect. I should.
But of course you're a suspect, and you're a smart suspect. You should be the suspect. But I mean, you're not gonna get framed for a crime,
Right.
and it is in your absolute interest to, in every way,
Tell them
everything, because to the extent that if they don't know whoever did, if this goes unsolved,
I'm
that's
so
the worst
scared
thing for
of
your
so
boys.
many things, Jane. Like, do you think whoever did this is going to come after the kids?
I'm very worried about that, and I think
I don't want to be like left alone in that house. Like, I want protection, and I'm scared. I don't know who this is. I don't.
Okay, well, I mean, you should maybe go and stay, I think you should go stay can you go to Lynn and David's?
Ellen, yeah, yeah.
You
they
should.
have lots of bedrooms. I could just.
You
stay
should,
there
I mean,
for
the
a little
boys are there,
bit. Yeah.
and
I need to pick up a
They
few
need-
things. Like I would need my contact lens case.
just go there. I mean,
I'm really glad you're here. I am losing my shit.
I wish they'd come
Jane,
back.
This is. They keep doing this where like they leave for long periods of time, and it's 5:30 already.
Mhm.
I've been here for a while.
They keep
I
leaving
didn't
me for
know if,
long
like-
periods of time. Right, of course.
know.
It's part of the whole thing.
Oh, James,
Well, she could think of, you're not going to be framed for a crime you didn't commit.
That's
you
right.
know?
And you're a suspect, but you're a smart suspect. So, and the kids, yeah, I'd be worried about the kids too. Thanks, Jane. You're a blessing and a comfort. So, anyway, we're going to end that there because it just
you looking to see if there's more
it gets
info
to
on
be
it?
I have this
aggravating.
from now from
Okay,
dinner.
Jane, that's enough. That's enough for you. Those who want to continue that can find that. I guarantee you, it went on for another. I want to say not with Jane, but it went on for another hour or so. Jane was mercifully let out of the building, and then she was chatting with the cops, telling the cops things that the cops then relayed to Wendi. Where'd you hear that? Oh, Jane told us. So Jane's on the payroll now. I think she's a cadet.
End of scene, yes, perfectly. End scene, right?
End
Before
scene.
identification, right.
So that aside, I would love to sit and watch that with like some sort of body language expert.
Mhm.
Just not for Wendi. I think we figured that out. But Jane, what is her deal? She's got some urge to help, to be the center of attention as the helper. I don't know. Poor Jane.
Well, but Wendy's setting up her whole story. Her whole story is right there. That's her whole story there. You'd already set up. Now, if it's truthful, it's one thing. If it's false, it's another thing. Everyone I know in this chat has their opinion about what's going to happen. And remember, she is going to be testifying again under the grant of immunity here, not transactional, but use immunity for anything that she says on the stand.
Yep, and derivative, which is very important, and that gets a little blurry sometimes because something that she says may not be directly actionable and protected, but may therefore lead to something. And we've talked about this in the context of inevitable discovery. It's
Right.
sort of a similar concept. If they found something against her independent of her testimony, then that's fair game.
But she's out there for dating. You can go out there for dating and find her just like Jeff did. I guess he's so happy. I can't wait until he finishes testifying because we're going to go after him to get him on here to talk to him.
Yeah.
I find him one of the most interesting witnesses.
It'll be very interesting to see, when we get to that point, if he's, had enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I really don't need to talk to anybody.
And I
about this
wonder,
anymore.
and I don't know the answer to this. All of you know, we watched Jeff's testimony and all. But was he before he ever talked to the police? Was he ever told that Wendi considered him and Wendi and likely Jane considered him a possible sus? Because that's basically what they're doing by putting his name out.
Sure,
By
of
saying
course.
he's jealous, blah blah blah.
And they didn't know him. That when the name first came up, they were like, "Oh, who's that?" And they were taking notes. I guarantee they followed up on it, but
Right.
he was ruled out apparently almost immediately. Remember, part of the backstory is that he believed he was being set up, and part of the reason was he had a business trip planned, and he was going to be going to the airport at or about the time of the shooting, going right through that area. Well, I think either it was a weather issue or a scheduling issue. He ended up leaving the night before. So he was not, his alibi was clean. He was totally out of town. I guess you could still pay somebody to do it.
Whoops.
What happened?
Yeah, I think someone says I think you watched it. No, whoops, meaning oops if you're planning and wanting to have Jeff be the suspect because you know that he's going to be going right through that area. Oops.
Yeah, that and the whole Geek Squad.
Yeah.
Very convenient. So so that's how Jeff got cleared as quickly as he did. So I thought what we do in the few minutes we have remaining is, since we are basically losing a night of preparation for the trial to come and the witnesses to begin.
And we still don't know what time the opening statements are going to start tomorrow.
We do not. We think, I'd say I would bet the farm that it's going to be tomorrow at some point, probably afternoon. But because of that, I thought we would run a couple of very important things. One is a part of a phone call. Here's the deal on this phone call. This is Donna to Charlie. This is in November of 2023. Remember, she's arrested November 20th, I think it was. Yeah, 20th. Prior to that, about a few days. This is after his conviction, right? She's arrested 2 weeks after his conviction. So that's a very tight time window. In that window, she calls Charlie. They have issues at the prison phone system, right? So there's an 8-minute conversation of just small talk. And then he drops off. And from the beginning of this tape where I'm going to start it, this wiretap, you'll hear her, learning, oh, I guess he's gone again. The call's dropped. What she doesn't know is that the recording is continuing. And this is the recording that gets into the information about her trip plans.
Yeah. And let me just tell you what people don't understand. For instance, if there's a wiretap on my phone, right? And, you get off the phone, you're not on the phone, but you're on your phone, but you're off talking to somebody, like you left a message, and you say, what a asshole that person is, or, what a dickhead, or something that's right. Something that you don't want to necessarily say out in public, that will still get recorded, because it's not the issue. It's not what you're leaving on somebody's answering, right? Whether it's voicemail or, old time used to say answering machines. It's the fact that they can hear you using your phone. Okay. Mm-hmm. So just so people don't understand that.
And sometimes, depending on the nature of the connection, one person drops off, especially if it's a technical disconnect. It's not somebody hanging up. Then you're still talking into the breeze, but it's the call's still open. It's just not going anywhere except on your phone. Right. And so this is ultimately a conversation she's having with Harvey and one other person in the room, I think. Let's see if we can get this going here.
As the Adelsons turn on one another.
And she's talking to Charlie now.
But I can't hear a thing.
Oh, you can't. We're back to that. We're back to that again.
That again.
Okay, hold on.
The only one who could hear what you're doing is you.
Let me try this again. This is a different document, a different asset, I will call it. Let's see if I can open it up a different way.
Well, that's what they're called, assets.
And that's what they are. Yelp. Let's see if I can get this one. Let's try. So she's having this conversation. She's finishing with Charlie, and he's just been in prison for a short period of time. So he's in solitary, and he's going crazy, and he's talking about maybe he'll kill himself. So just, typical small talk. And then, and then the call drops off, and I'm going to try and find it here one other way. See if this works. Let me see. I don't think that's going to be any better. I'm sorry to say.
Well, this is not very good when our assets can't play.
I know.
For StreamYard. And I know that we've had this issue with StreamYard, with us doing this with StreamYard when we pull in another recording into our recording.
Yeah, you're not hearing that, right?
Nope, not hearing a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. Okay. Well, then let's do this. It's during that phone call. I will synthesize the bit of it for you, and then we'll get to the video, which I'll try to play. She basically starts talking about Vietnam, and she's reading texts that she and Wendi have had between one another, because Wendy's been like hands off. Charlie's been asking, well, how's Wendi doing? Is she hanging in there? And Wendy's had no contact. And she's telling her mom now, don't talk to me, don't text me. I don't want anything about the case. And so mom is like, why aren't you coming to talk with us? We don't have to talk about the case. It's all right. And we have some business issues we need to talk to you about. And if you can't help us, then we want to find somebody that can. But we have these business issues. We want you to know where the cemetery plots are. We want you to, have all access to this paperwork. And then she starts talking about going to Vietnam and mentioning that there's no extradition. They'd been to Vietnam before. So this was a revisiting. And so, cops are listening in. They got to hear it. They're listening in. And so it was the trigger, literally the trigger for going to the airport. And we happen to have that too. Let's see. And, this is...
Does he send those subtitles? Just let it play.
Hey, you're right about it. Except I couldn't get. That was just it. It wouldn't translate,
play.
would
It
it? Yeah. Or were you seeing the subtitles?
No, I wasn't seeing anything. I was seeing
Okay.
it as it were as the Adelsons turn
Just saw the
on one
freeze. Okay.
another. Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that. I'm not quite sure why that didn't want to help. Okay, so this is what the actually result of that phone conversation was all about. It all went kind of sort of like this. Are you hearing that? I want to make sure you're hearing that.
Yes, we're hearing that.
Okay. This is the jetway.
The rings, take everything. Give it to your husband. Because once you arrive at County Yale, they're gonna make you remove all that. You got a passport ready? They count, yeah. Please.
Oh, Harvey.
I'm sorry, remove your earrings. 1 minute.
Yes, this is when she's trying to board to go to the flight. This is actually the jetway. And then, don't you love the? Actually, I love the first woman who's coming through in the maroon outfit. It's like, go away, get out of here.
Here's the elevator, and you can see it's like at least that flight attendant is the Emirates airline. I think they're the only ones that have that garb. One-way flight to Vietnam. I think it was stopping maybe in Amsterdam along the way, but a one-way flight.
Yes. If there's anything else on her person that she wants to. Do you have her driver's license? I'm sorry? Her driver's license.
It's interesting because the question arises: if she were just making a trip to London, would they have arrested her because we have extradition treaties? But because there was no extradition treaty in Vietnam, is that why they decided to move in then?
I think there's no doubt about it. And this guy in the middle here in the purple, that's the FBI. And he will be the one testifying, laying the foundation for all the wiretap.
Is that Sanford?
Yeah.
Remember, according to Mike Easter, Sanford would be the one who would audition, it's his case, pick out, discuss what they needed and all. He'd be in total control.
So close, Donna, so close.
You know, it's interesting. We should have played Sanford's testimony.
Yeah, most of his testimony was setting up the clips.
Right. But I still think he's the most fascinating character in this because this is his case and he's controlling this case where it comes to. And it's because of him that we're here.
Yeah, I would like to hear his discussion, and we will, between the bump, the discussion that I couldn't get to play, where Vietnam comes up. They had to be listening.
Where you try to play it in a browser. But no, he's to me the most interesting one because he's got to be the one who decides, look, we're not getting anywhere. We've got to do something. We've got to tickle the wire. Then he sets everything all up. And then, they're going to ultimately Vietnam with no extradition treaty. And
all these people are coming to get on the plane. Just don't pay any attention to the woman in handcuffs.
Give me 1 moment, please.
Give me 1 moment. We have a suspected killer here. We need to come on by. And there she goes. She's all in her travel togs, going to be nice and comfortable on the long flight. And this is one hell of a perp walk.
Now, where's Harvey in this right now?
Yeah,
Where's
he's
Harvey right now?
trailing on the play. I imagine Harvey's trying to figure out, what about our luggage, getting all that. And the cops don't want him right there anyway. This is Miami International, by the way.
Yeah, and they're absolutely right. Oasis Cat points. Stanford turns to Donna and says, "You're under arrest for the murder of Dan Markel." I mean, that had to be. I mean, considering his plan to tickle the wire, where the bump it worked so perfectly. That's, as a law enforcement officer, you're saying, "Wow!" And then you hear the wiretap, and you know, because you have the wiretap because of tickling the wire. And you hear now they're going to plan a trip to go to Vietnam, and we know there's no extradition treaties between them.
Think
you
about,
have to say, wow.
Think about all the things that went wrong before it went very right. First of all, there was no real immediate response to the bump. There was a phone call, but then crickets. And so over the week or two that followed, they sent, the alleged Latin king that she bumped into sent text messages and emails, each one kind of escalating, as Michael Easter said last night, would be appropriate. That's what he would do. So escalating it, making it seem more urgent, more, you better listen to me. I'm not screwing around here. And that led to a number of phone conversations. And we've got those, and I am going to make sure they work over the next few days. And as we get closer to that various testimony, there is an amazing conversation between Charlie and Catherine McPherson. And it is both fascinating as to the relationship between them, which is comical at times, and insightful when they start talking about, who this person is that's trying to, extort them. It's amazing, and the quality is great.
Yeah.
So we'll get to a lot of that stuff.
Ocean Beach. She was talking to Harvey, her attorney, and her husband after a call dropped in case he came back on, because she didn't want to pay the 65 cents to call back, I think it was. Yeah. But yes. Whatever it is, but even when it didn't work initially, what they thought according to plan, it really did, because then as soon as the text came and you have to set it up. And the one question I didn't ask Mike Easter yesterday, which I really want to know the answer: do they have forensic psychologists and people that deal with people's reaction, besides police officers, besides cops, besides law enforcement, deal with how you approach a specific suspect in terms of doing the tickling the wire, in terms of the follow-up? And that's the one question I did not get to ask him yesterday.
That's a good question. Probably, I mean, they have, obviously, the FBI has one of the most amazing behavioral
that's what I'm getting at. Right.
And so I would think they would definitely consult with that person, depending on who their target is.
I'm going to see if I can get my friend who I've not been able to reach, who was in that unit and has since retired.
And that is that walk, and then sitting in the car, and then they finally, they were so polite to her, taking her to the local jail. Just what must be going through her mind at this point?
It's really interesting. It's interesting though, because this is, Michael, this is the tape from the airport, right?
Yeah, well, this is the body cam of one of the cops.
Body cam, one of the cops from the airport, when they're in the airport.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the bottom of the hill, and it doesn't happen. When the media all comes out and takes her picture, and
yeah, this was at night. This was going to be a red eye, no doubt. You can tell from the really kind of a sparse. Miami International is a major airport. You don't see it quite this empty unless it's late. And it was looks like 8 o'clock, which is not all that late, but not the middle of a busy day. So she really avoided quite a bit of gawking.
Yeah, she hasn't talked.
The red eye to Vietnam. Not so fast, Donna.
Of course. And one could say that because they didn't notify the media that this arrest was taking place, as you will see sometimes when they have warrants, when they execute warrants, the FBI will notify. And the morning time at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., the media will be there. They did not. I don't see any one reporter here, which gives them great credibility, in my view, especially Agent Sanford, who really was the one who was the producer in all this, the producer and the director.
Yeah, and probably as much as anything else, if it were to blow up in his face, he'd rather not have that captured either.
Right,
so,
right.
And I guess we're done. And the airport, they've got something to say about whether or not they can have cameras. These days, it was post 9/11, obviously. So you can't just flood the zone with cameras. It's not going to happen.
No, I thought that was very, very interesting. I think once she decided that she was going to Vietnam, that was it. That's when they decided they had to move in. Because really, quite frankly, they'd been successful. The tickle the wire had been successful. I mean, the resulting is they were going to get on a plane, going to a place that didn't have an extradition treaty. And you can't get any better than that, except for a confession on the phone, which wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, and I think she mentioned China and somewhere else.
Dubai, they were possibly going to stop in Dubai.
But no, decided not to. So, and again, had that call not been recorded, even after it was officially disconnected, they wouldn't have that information. They would not make the move that they did. I'm sure they were, we know they had people, right? Would have known elsewhere some other method that they had purchased tickets to Vietnam. That's possible. But to have it on that tape made it pretty simple to get the arrest warrant.
Yeah, so that raises a question that I just see going back from Joyce H. Mahar. Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Tap on Wendy's phone? Do you think there's taps on Wendy's phone we don't know about? Because they wouldn't come in discovery right now.
That's true. And I would think if you were applying for those, you'd easily get one for her.
Right.
No doubt I saw a note here from, I'll just bring it up, fleshing out the reason the cops were there. Can I just say that they told a neighbor or friend that they were going to Vietnam, and that person told the police. That's how the police knew the one-way trip. Well, it certainly reinforced what they heard they heard it on the phone. So maybe it helped to narrow down the time frame.
Nope, that time frame. But they would be on them. I have no doubt that they would be absolutely on them. Thank you, by the way, Shannon, Arizona. Thank you, looking beautiful. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Remember, for 4 months, even more appreciate that.
Oh, that is nice. Thank you, Shannon.
It's very, very sweet and very nice. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So and what cracks me up though is Harvey is with my baggage,
I assume he's just left to clean up the wreckage, which I think's been his job in the family. He's just that guy, and very successful dentist or oral surgeon, I can't remember which, in his own right. I mean, he built the practice, and then Charlie came along to do what Dad did.
So anyhow, let's get an update whether or not they've moved the opening statements to morning. If they finished this afternoon when we were finishing up, getting ready to go on the show, right? Let's see. Can we Google and let's find out? Let's see, everybody.
We is this the royal we?
No, I'm gonna take my phone out. The royal we is everybody who's watching, right? Lizzie Bates and Harvey.
I want to do one more thing before we go. So you do that.
While you're doing that, okay.
This is something that I stumbled upon. Misha Janis is a creator and an attorney, and she has a channel called Presumed Legal. I think it's Presumed Legal. Make sure I get that right.
Very nice of her.
Yeah, Presumed Legal. And at a certain point about a year ago, they put Charlie's house up for sale, and she did a walkthrough like as an open house. And so I got a hold of her. I said, hey, can we use this? We'll give you credit for it. And there should be a link down in the description to her channel. It's just very interesting insight into their family and, what a day in the life was before certain things happened. So I just want to let this roll while you're doing your thing there. You wanted to look for some stuff?
I'm just looking to see whether or not when jury selection, whether there's an update.
And this is, let me get that down a notch. There we go. There's one of the cars. I think that's a Tesla, right? That's a Tesla.
Beautiful house.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the numbers on this while we're looking at. There's one thing that I think is just so comical and so telling in terms of personality. Check out the accoutrement on each side of the front porch when you get up there.
Thank you, Misha Janice, by the way.
I don't know. See that? The lions. I mean,
For silver.
Yeah. I don't care if they're paper mache. It's just so kind of.
Well, it's funny though you say that. When my grandparents and the old and the Italians came over, and they lived in this poor house in Red Bank, and they had these concrete lines at that point that were always on like the houses, but they were built into the houses. And I remember as a little kid wanting to stay and play on those lines, but they didn't look like that. That's garish.
It's a little ostentatious, a little garish.
Yeah.
And,
oh my God, look at that.
Yeah, that's
a
I'm sure.
Marlin?
Yeah, it's a marlin. It's a marlin. So the house is this was in early 2024. Let me give you the history on the numbers on this. This house sold in July of 2020 for $660,000. Okay, and we don't know what condition it was in, so maybe that was a depressed part of the market. I don't know. They put it on the market after, I'll call it AC, after Charlie, when he would no longer need a house. March of 2023, okay, they listed it for $1.8 million.
Oh my goodness!
Three times what was purchased 3 years earlier. 3 times. Okay. Then 4 months later, in July of that year, they had to drop the price $115,000 to $1,685. So still 2.5 times the purchase price, right? So it's listed again in October at that price, $1.685. We see another price reduction in December of 2023. It comes down to $1.375, a $310,000 drop in price. Okay, and then it finally sells. Again, the listing is now down at $1.375. It sells in February of 2024 for $1,270,000.
So it still sells for double, basically.
Still sells for double, and
years later.
Remember, that was from 2020 to 2023. The stuff I'm seeing here doesn't look like crazy upgraded new stuff.
No, it does not.
It looks, hey, look at that. Lovely.
The outside of the house looks kind of pretty except for the lines, but the
location is great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me see if we can move ahead. I don't know if I need to see in a closet, although I appreciate Misha's thoroughness. She did a fine job on this. Let's go outside, which you'll see is one of the main draws. From the front house, it looks like you're in a neighborhood. The lots are not massive, which is why I think the Lions are stupid. So you have a lovely pool, but you're on the intercoastal, which in Florida, of course, is prime location. They got a lot of intercoastals there, but you can get out to the ocean on that. So if you have a boat and whatever, you can take a cruise out to the ocean. So that's a lot of the value.
That's a lot of the value.
Only about 1,800.
The Charlie, he was on the first sale, but then whoever bought it then sold it again, so that he doesn't really get that double value, right?
I don't have the purchasers' names on here, so I can't confirm any of that.
Yeah.
Only the dates and the amounts.
Wow.
So it's a lot of marble.
By the way, the last thing I have is 15 minutes ago that jury selection picks back up at 9:30 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
So whether or not they're going to go right into openings when they finish jury selection, I don't know.
Yeah, but, I'm still sticking to my guess, which is they'll get the group in the box in the morning and openings in the afternoon.
Yeah, because they're going to do the final round of jury selection. They've got the people ready to go. Then they're going to do, you come in, I exercise challenge number 1, I exercise my challenge number 2, that type of thing. Yep. And that could go though pretty quickly. And the judge may just take a morning break and go right into openings. And it's possible to do that and let openings go and then let everyone go home after lunch. Yep. So we'll have to just be monitoring it. Maybe we'll have to just stream it and see.
I think we'll get some, from some folks on the ground there. We should get some, heads up about when some of this stuff is going to happen.
Yeah, but
so we'll have a little notice.
That could go very quickly. Those final, final challenges could go. That could be 15 minutes and done.
But what I think will happen is, no matter when that is in the day, there will be a break.
There's going to be a break, whether it's 15 minutes
Before
or
you get
20
it.
minutes
Exactly.
or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And now remember, everybody, initially what happened was it was supposed to open Friday, but then there was a question that the attorneys wanted Monday because they didn't want to have to open and then wait. And so they talked about Monday, and Friday was just like an off possibility. But now we're into Thursday. So then the question becomes what witnesses are going to be called on Friday, where you'll be covering, I think, Michael Bryant.
Yes, we'll be here with whatever that brings.
Right.
And you know, I'm assuming, and in fact, I want to get into this tomorrow during whatever coverage we do have, is the neighbor that was one of the first witnesses last time, because he sets the scene literally for how this crime happened, and all that foundational stuff's got to come in, even though it's, you know, it's
Right, again.
almost secondary to the defendant.
Right.
The defendant, it's more about, you know, what she did before, during, and after, not the event itself. But you got to know about the event. So,
Thank you, Misha Janice is in our chat. Thank you very much for these. You really
Oh,
are
yeah.
thorough with regard to this house. And the interesting thing on the outside of the house is to me more beautiful. The inside of the house is kind of like a mess, but and those lions, just like. I mean, you know, you take away those lions, the house increases in value by $200,000.
They just send a weird message, in my opinion. So maybe I'd use those as an anchor for my boat that I had out on the Intercoastal.
Yeah.
And it's only about 2,000 square feet. In fact, it's slightly smaller than 2,000 square feet. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's some would
well,
say. Now,
so
the other half,
turn.
There
There she is. Hello.
Thanks
There
for
she
that.
is.
We
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Thank you. We just got a quick screenshot of you there, you know. But the interesting thing, though, is when you and I were playing the testimony of Wendi, especially the day Wendi won, all right, the emails from Donna to Wendi about the hatred of Dan Markel are so intense. Now, that, of course, Wendy's going to sink her mom, in my opinion, with those emails. Now, that's going to sink her mom. We'll see what connects mom now to to Sigfredo Garcia, and then of course to Luis Rivera, who is really the Latin King, who's head of a Latin King, you know, one of the groups, right?
That's definitely more tenuous, and that's of course by design, if you believe the prosecution, because that's why they had Catherine McBenoit and everybody else doing the dirty work, and Donna could stay relatively clean. So the prosecution has to argue that all of those emails and texts where she's calling Dan Markel, everything from an elitist to a motherfucker and everything in between, that equates to motive to kill the guy.
Right.
You know, that could be a leap.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it could be. I think they're going to convict. My opinion is I think they're going to convict Donna. Although you never know. You only need one person, right?
Yeah. No, I think they got plenty of goods. Yes.
And then the question becomes, everyone's asking, what about Wendi? Because now, you know, things like tickling the wire and all that is out. That's not going to work. You have what you have. All right. Yeah. Then we'll see. I mean, you know, will Donna turn on her daughter? Never. Never, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. In fact, you know, even that theory, I won't even call it a story, that she was offered a deal that would have her do that, would never happen. It just would never happen.
Yeah. Well, you know,
would save herself by turning on Wendi.
There still could have been a backdoor conversation. Well, you know,
of course,
yeah, but it's not.
And I would be shocked if there wasn't.
Right, but there was never an official because there's no idea that she's. I mean, she's gone this far. We've gone 11 years this far, right? And the two people she supposedly cares about are the three the most. Although one could say she cared about her grandkids, but I think if you're arranging to have their father shot, that goes down the tubes. Is her daughter, her son Charlie, and her husband Harvey.
One more comment from Misha. Needed a lot of updating, but had potential for the right person. Are you in real estate, Misha? That sounds like. That sounds like
that's what it looked like. It looked like the inside needed to be sort of gutted with new kitchen, new bathrooms,
a lot of marble and tile and
new junk. Okay, that's Domino, by the way.
Yes, Domino is out of control at the moment for some reason.
Domino is barking. 2B's upstairs lying down saying, "Oh, it's close to my bedtime." Yeah, 2B, by the way, likes to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. Doesn't like to get up before 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes 9 o'clock. He loves his beauty sleep.
Yeah. Well, it's working. So, all righty. Tomorrow, more of recap of what happens tomorrow, obviously with the openings, and then maybe a couple other tidbits of folks we think might be some of the early witnesses, like the neighbor.
Right, right. And then it depends on how it goes tomorrow, whether or not the openings and then we stop and then we do our 6 o'clock show, or the things just continue all the way on and they have witnesses and we bleeds into our show and we do a wrap up at 6 o'clock. But we will be on the air. So just, to get notified that when we actually go on, you have to hit that like, share, subscribe, and notify. And I'm just asking Missy, if you just want to stream from 9:30 and watch jury selection, with us being on, we can just pull everything in, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's going to be Missy, and whether or not she wants to do that and is available to do that, as opposed to when the openings begin.
And what you'll see is there may be some introductory remarks from the judge, but not much, because this is the second wave. This is not what you may have heard over the last couple of days is kind of a droning on of very important information, but it's repeated again and again.
Yeah, post-show meeting. We do all the production meetings with everybody. We're all here because we need to know what you want too. I mean, let's tell you, as you know, we're very attuned to like what you're interested in, what you're not interested in. And some things we felt we had to run, like we felt we had to be here every day for Karen Reed. Oh boy, we're here every day for Karen Reed, sitting down to stream it, so that I felt we had a little more credibility at night when we were talking about everything with you all. And also, who's doing the defense opening? Which attorney?
I'll bet you, my guess would be Joshua Zellman. That'd be my guess. He seems to be lead. It seems almost like Jackie Fulford is almost the liaison, connected with Donna Adelson.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling it'll be Joshua Zellman.
Yeah, and of course, Georgia Kappelman will be, in my opinion, will be
try and stop her.
Hey, look, she's like Sanford. She's been running this case. She's been running this show because whatever the FBI had to do, they had to get permission. Both the FBI has to get permission from the U.S. attorney that they're working with, but the locals have to get permission for certain things to do that are legal with regard to warrants and all from Kappelman or that office. So just so you all know.
Very good. Well, I'm going to do some work now on that audio that is annoying me.
Yeah, and it may be that you pulled it in through you pulled it in incorrectly.
There's no doubt about that. I would agree with that. I just have to figure out, what I'm supposed to do.
What's the correct way? And look, we all could use help. We all say, you
right.
are viewers.
I need my Kokomo.
Okay. All right, everybody, hit that like, subscribe, share, but especially subscribe because that way we identify, share, and the notify all button, and we will see you sometime for the Adelsons tomorrow, as Michael would say, as they turn on one another.
Very good. Michael Bryant here. Thank you, Linda Kenney Baden. Try to do the right thing, folks.